I cried to go home every day. I literally pulled the producers and I'm like, send me home. And they're like, well, we will sue you if you leave because you signed a contract. Every day I was crying, begging to go home. They let me sleep in the living room every day after he like broke up with me and stuff because I just didn't want to see him.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode on Divinely Disruptive podcast. I'm your host, Jane Powers. I'm so excited that you guys took time to be here on this platform. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome in. You're going to hear from some influential people that have impacted my life in a very intimate way. And today's guest is a friend, influencer, model, and superstar, and you may have seen her on MTV Are You the One? Her name is Keyana Land, and you are going to see why she's one of my besties, and she's just an incredible soul. So welcome, Keyana, to the studio. And Keyana, for those that haven't met you, tell us a quick little bio about you.
Oh, quick. Okay. Hi, I'm Keyana. I've lived in Vegas for 3 years. I'm from the East Coast. I did a TV show called Are You the One? I just do influencing now on social media, so that's pretty exciting.
I love it. And she's naturally beautiful. So people listening and watching, we did a little bit of the audio and YouTube. So the way that you look, I love your swag. I was like, please dress to impress. And you're like, well, I'm going to do the streetwear grunge. I'm like,
I only own men's clothes. What do you want me to do here?
Exactly. So, you know, one of the things that I really loved about starting this platform is really getting to know people on a deeper level, right? And living in Vegas, it's so easy to go on social media and see a beautiful body or a beautiful girl in bikinis, lingerie, you know, a nice cocktail dress. But when I first met you, you just carried yourself with such resilience and poise. And I don't want to blame the whole Asian sensation, but definitely your upbringing is phenomenal. And just meeting somebody like you, like myself, where we are fierce, we are beautiful, we care about how we look, but we were just chatting off the record, we're more than just beauty, right? So tell me a little bit about where you're from and how your transition to the city has been for you.
Oh, it's been so major. So I grew up in a small town in New Hampshire, poor, like lived in a shack with my mom. We shared a bed at the age of like 14, you know, so I didn't come from money. I didn't come from anything. And I decided to apply to a TV show and I ended up getting it. And I thought, wow, this is literally going to change my life. Whether I don't find love, I'm going to get money and I can do whatever I want. And granted, it's not a lot of money, but I took that money that I won from my show and I decided LA is where people go to find their dreams. And I wanted to find my dream, whether it was doing more reality TV or modeling or anything. So I packed up, I moved to LA all by myself, cross country, and I lived there for almost 2 years. And it was probably the lowest point of my life. I hung around with people that just genuinely didn't care about me. It was hard to find happiness in such a toxic place. And it was either, you know, you can stay living in LA and probably want to, you know, end yourself, or you can move back to Maine with your dad and start fresh, but there's really nothing going for you there. So I had a friend who lived in Vegas and he offered me a place in his house. He's a cop out here. He's super nice. He did a lot for me. He helped me find a job and everything. And I've been here for 3 years and I've been thriving. I have nothing but positive things to say about Vegas and I can't picture myself leaving anytime soon. So it's been a wild ride.
Yeah. And you actually gave me chills when you told me about how you even got on the show because, man, again, like a little choked up, okay? Because I didn't know that was your reality before you went on the show, because I'm guilty of this. I was watching Love Island Australia and I'm thinking, oh, look at all these wealthy kids, probably trust fund babies. They got nothing to do, so they're going to be on the show. So when you shared, like, no, Jane, I was not coming from money. I was with my mom and just for some cash, I wanted to, you know, potentially be on the show. Like, I did not know that about you. And it just takes my level of respect for you in a just tremendous, like, I'm lost for words right now, but thank you for sharing, because I know right now people knowing you or know of you. Yeah. Like even watching you from the show, again, I'm guilty of this. We just instantly assume, I don't know why, like, oh, they probably came from money and had an opportunity or knew someone to get on the show. I didn't get to watch that show, unfortunately. Maybe I will down the road, but
it's on Netflix.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, check her out, everybody. Because I try my best, especially in Vegas, to really know people before I know what they do or what they're connected to, because it can really, flaw or disrupt the natural connection you might have with somebody.
Oh, of course.
If you don't mind sharing, what was that experience like on that show? Because I knew that before I knew you were on.
Yeah. So I've always pegged myself as a very shy girl. I don't like going up to new people and talking to them. If I am alone in a bar or anything, I tense up and I immediately pull my phone out and I'm like, okay, try to look busy, try to do something. This is awkward, because I grew up with a brother who was a year older than me and he was by my side. So having that sibling kind of shadow you your whole life, and then you start to live by yourself and you start to do things by yourself, it's like it opened your eyes a lot more. So the filming of the show was super interesting because you're put into a house with 21 different personalities and you have no escape. So no phone, no internet, no TV. You can't even read a book. You can't write notes on a piece of paper. You can't really leave the house except for the backyard area. And it was Louisiana in the middle of summer. So we were hot and we didn't want to go outside. So we were in this house, 22 of us, all day, every day. And it was fun and it was interesting. Is it something that I would do again? Maybe, if I went about it a different way. But just remember that when you're fighting with people and you want to oh, I'm going to go home and not see you, whatever, we're done, we're not friends anymore. No, it's not like that. You have to sleep in that room with the same person and eat breakfast with them and eat dinner with them. And you're literally just I don't like you. And
great for TV.
It is great for TV, but tensions rose. And especially when you add liquor in with all that, you're going to get fights and you're going to get confrontation and you're going to get people not agreeing and not seeing eye to eye. And there's no one to really mediate. So it's all just a free for all. It's insane.
No wonder that show is always full of drama, because I thought,
yes,
okay, it's a love show, right? The point is to fall in love and find somebody that could be the one.
Yes.
So what you're explaining sounds like a glamorous quarantine pandemic situation.
Yes, in a way. I mean, so it was nice because they paid for our food and our liquor, but it's the stress. I cried to go home every day. I literally pulled the producers and I'm like, send me home. And they're like, well, we will sue you if you leave because you signed a contract. And if you go home, your perfect match has to go home. And I'm like, well, me and Michael would love to leave. So, and they're like, oh, well, how do you know it's him? But every day I was crying, begging to go home. They let me sleep in the living room every day after he broke up with me and stuff, because I just didn't want to see him. Because when you break up with a guy in real life, you can literally just go home and not see them and block them on social media. But when you're broken up with a guy and 2 hours later he's making out with another girl in front of your face, it's I'm gonna lose my shit.
Yeah, God bless you for that, because I'm sure you were very as calm as you could be, right?
Yes,
I have to check out the episode or the show just to see how you handled yourself. Now, I can't imagine being in that kind of environment, because like you said, 2023, it's easy to block people or disengage or take yourself away from parties or environments, and you're not going to see them again. So I can't imagine the trigger and the trauma. Like you said, Jane, you fight with a girl, you fight with a dude, you're going to have to see them literally in the same kitchen, or God forbid, falling in love with somebody else. It's really, you're going to do this all in my face, and I can't just run home to
you have to accept
mom.
it. It's terrible, but you learn from it too. And then you remember, we are playing a game, and if this person doesn't think that he's my match, I need to find my match, because $1 million is on the line. So you eventually get it in your mindset. And that's what did happen a couple of days later, not weeks or anything, because TV time in TV is so different than real life. So when we say we filmed for 10 weeks, a week in reality TV time is really 3 days. So it's crazy. We had every day we were doing something. So the scenes where we're hanging out and not doing anything were just compiled of us just hanging out on a busy day or something. But yes, TV time is definitely compact.
No, that's very enlightening too. Because again, even though we talk about reality TV, it is reality, but it's not really reality.
Yes.
It's entertainment, right? So that's pretty incredible. Now, how has that maybe empowered you into real life dating, and how the hell does a beautiful woman and a smart woman like yourself date in these times?
Oh, well, I mean, I am thankful for the show because it's helped with my shyness. I feel like I'm obviously more willing to go meet new people and just talk and like show who I really am, because for the past, like, I think I was like 23, 24 when I filmed the show, and I had been so reserved and so quiet and so shy. So dating was just, it was there, but it wasn't like fun. Like, I would have a boyfriend for a year or two and then I would hate him and we'd stay together, and it's whatever. So after TV, I did date a lot more, but it was other reality TV stars, athletes, musicians, DJs, like people who were in the spotlight. And it was always, oh, well, we can't, like, you got to not tell anyone about this. Like, you know, and I'm just like, well, then it makes me feel shitty because I thought that you liked me. But then I was also feeling happy because like this big person wants to like hang out with me, but for what reason, you know? So I would say now dating has changed a lot for me, especially like this past couple months. My big thing that I'm sticking to is, if you cannot give me what I can already give myself, you're in the way.
Oh, that's good.
You're taking up space and you're holding up the queue, because if you won't do it, someone else will. Like, I just recently was seeing a guy, super immature, and he's 30, and he would nitpick at things and do things that irritated me. And I would calmly say, like, I'm communicating that I don't like this and you keep doing it. And he kept doing it. Like, he would call me bro, dude, brother, whatever. And I'm just like, I don't like that. I don't want to be your bro. If you're looking at me romantically, call me babe, sweetie, whatever, anything else besides bro, because at that point you're viewing me as a friend and I don't want to be your friend. I have enough friends. That's that. So definitely, like, I've taken a step back from dating like I used to, and I've just been more picky.
Oh, that's good.
Which is annoying,
Yeah.
but it's scary too, because my big thing, like my biggest fear in life, is being lonely. And it's not like I can't go grocery shopping by myself. I can't go on a road trip by myself. It's growing old without somebody, because, you know, I'm 29, I'm experiencing all of these things in life, and I really wish I had a partner to experience those things with, and I don't have that. And it's crazy because I've been on a couple dates recently, and I feel like it's me self-sabotaging. It could be, but I get to a point where I'm just bored during the date, and I'm like, how do I get out of this to go home? And it's kind of me doing this to myself, knowing that I don't want to be alone, but I'm not even trying to give dating a chance, because I know what I have to offer. I know what I have to give. And if you're not meeting, I can't work with you on anything. So it's like, I haven't met anyone that can perform, you know?
No, but just like, even as you're talking, thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like more people need to be that way, because again, people watching and listening in right now, we're all stuck in this moment, whether it's comparison or, you know, self-sabotage, because I've been in those situations. I mean, I've been married for 7 years, and I always tell everybody, I don't know why you guys always compliment him. Like, every guest, they're like, he's so sweet, he does everything for you. And I'm like, yeah, but in my head, I'm like, I don't want to be alone, so I guess I'll stick around. And our ongoing joke is, well, if eventually we're going to be together, we might as well stay together, right? Mm-hmm. Like, all jokes aside, that's some dark crap, right? I have this self-sabotage, you know, probably childhood trauma that I can't get over, which is this fake facade of, but I deserve more, or I could get better. And, you know, my personal journey right now is knowing my worth, and also remembering, like, okay, yes, I bring a lot to the table, but what does that man bring to the table as well? So I love that you're so firm in your worth, so firm in what you believe in. And I love that, you know, through therapy, at least for me, it allows you to have the proper tools and the right way to communicate and express what you shared. Like, hey, this affects me negatively. I'm telling you calmly, and I could be a child, but I'm communicating my needs. So if you choose to not hear me, unfortunately, it's on you. So whether it is the, you know, name calling, whether it is little pet peeves I've recognized, friendship and romantically, it is disrespectful, right? When you calmly say, hey, I'm letting you know politely, please don't. Like, it's just upsetting me and it's annoying. Now, have you been in a situation as well where you gave that person so many opportunities and they just still couldn't get the memo? And did you keep them around, or did you just say, you know what, like, we're done?
Yes, same situation. I let it go and let it go and let it go. And I eventually said, this is a form of disrespect. To me, when I'm talking to you about something that bothers me and you're hearing it and you're not doing anything about it and you know how much it bothers me, that's you disrespecting me because you're not taking the time to change your actions and your behaviors knowing that it hurts me. So I let it go on for a little bit because I was thinking, again, maybe I'm self-sabotaging. I had just stopped talking to this guy that I was a little crazy about, you know, whatever, and I was ready to date. But is it me self-sabotaging because I just, like, I don't know, like there were so many thoughts running through my head, and I let it continue to eventually it got to a point where he ended things with me. And I let him, and it wasn't like, oh, you know, I'm better than him, like he can break up with me. It was more like, I didn't want to go through with me ending. I've never broken up with anyone.
Oh, you're
before,
a good
so
woman.
I was like, and I was okay with it. And I was like, let him feel big macho man, whatever, do what you got to do. And I blocked him on Instagram the second that he sent me a whole long breakup text. I think I read like half of it. And he, again, was just not taking accountability for the things that he was doing and blaming me. He's like, well, maybe if you didn't act like my friend, I wouldn't be calling you bro. And I'm like, no. So I read halfway through it. I said, okay, see you later, bye. And I blocked him. And I didn't feel like I needed to read the rest because it was just him blaming me. And again, I would so take ownership if it was something that I was doing. But at the same time, I truly believe that every action has a reaction. Meaning if you're acting a certain way and you don't like my reaction, maybe you need to take a step back and look at how you're treating me and, you know, all that stuff. So it was more like that to me, I guess. So I just let it go.
No,
like,
and
whatever.
that's so mature of you, because I know we met about, I don't know, a year and a half ago,
Mm-hmm.
right? And just even the way you're articulating yourself and the way that you're showing up, I can literally feel it in your soul right now. You're so grown, and just the way you've developed mentally and emotionally, I want to applaud you, because
Thanks.
I know last time we chatted, it was, you know, probably not so good. I know that you're in a temporary moment of heartache. I say temporary because it was just that. It was just a moment in time. And I remember encouraging you, like, girl, I'm not even worried about you. I just met you at the time, but I could just tell that you have been through worse, and you will never let one man or one individual change the trajectory of your future.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see that right now. And so I wanted to ask that question because, especially after the pandemic, a lot of people lost a lot of jobs, finances, friendships, even loved ones. And it's just a hard time for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell everybody, yes, people see me always positive and happy, but in the first episode, which people will have a moment to check in with me as well, is I just cried my eyes out. And I'm like, okay, how is somebody like me that is quote unquote so jolly and positive, resilient, goes to church, faith in God, I'm not okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, I realized if we don't put ourselves first, and if we don't put our self-worth first, then nobody will actually care really to pick up the pieces again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even as you choose to grow and you choose to mature in your relationships as well, like, I hope you take a moment to be proud of yourself too.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. I've realized how much I've grown because I used to be a very reactive person. If something set me off, I would freak out. I've realized, taking a step back, that I've come very far with my life. And with I used to have like anger problems, I would say, and all my exes
Girl,
would
I'm still
probably
working on
agree.
it.
But I've come a long way with my anger. I'll, like, if something bothers me, I'll take a step back and all that stuff. But I feel like I live life so differently because I'm more optimistic about life. I'm more excited for the future, and I have no reason to be in a bad mood. You know, I was always so negative. I would complain about everything. And the thing is that I have a roof over my head. I have money to buy myself food. I just have money to live, whether I'm living paycheck to paycheck or I have an extra $100 to spend on clothing. I'm taken care of. I'm taking care of myself. And that's all I really care about. Before, it was just, I have to go to work. Like, I got to live life. And I would not want to do anything. And I was just so negative. And I felt like no one wanted to be around me. And that's why I feel like I lost a lot of my friends, you know? And back to what you were saying about not feeling okay, I too go to church, and my church's slogan is it's okay to not be okay.
That's good.
And I have to keep remembering that because, again, like with the whole therapy thing, my therapist had told me, and I actually saw this on TikTok not too long ago too, about someone else's therapist saying this to them. You know, when we are going through hard times, we are wanting so badly to just be neutral. Like, why do bad things happen to me? Why can't anything good happen to me? I feel like my life is up and down, up and down, up and down. Well, you have to remember that if your life was neutral and stagnant, you'd be dead. You'd be flatlining. That's literally a heart rate monitor. You would be dead. Yeah. So you have to remember that life is ups and downs. And, you know, when you hit rock bottom, the only other place left to go is up. So
no, that's good right there. I'm like,
you know what I mean?
You're my therapist right now. And to keep it real, I feel like I'm coming out of this darkness, but I feel like I still have moments of rage and anger. You can ask my husband, and I have to learn to just like let go and forgive. Because even 99% of the time, even if I'm good, that 1% just takes over my life. Like even before you came over today to record the podcast, I was like in this funk and just being really awkwardly quiet. And usually I'm like excited and dancing. And my husband's like, what are you doing out there? But I was just like dead silent. And I should have probably ate something or asked my husband if he wanted to eat. But back to that neutral zone, I was just sitting there like staring at the wall, just being a weirdo. And I'm like, I just don't want to feel. It's like, Jane, what are you unhappy about? You have a whole production. You have this podcast. You have this platform to change lives. You have amazing people like yourself that show up for me. Like, what are you complaining about? So again, I'll be the first to admit I have moments of being ungrateful. I have moments I forget what God has done for me. I mean, I could truly say I would not be alive without my faith in God. He literally saved me. But for those that are perhaps still stuck, again, I'm very proud of where you are. Stay there. And if you fall, I'm here to pick you up. But for those listening and watching right now that are probably crying, like, you don't understand, Jane. You don't understand, Keyana. Like, I just lost my job. My boyfriend dumped me. I don't know what's next. Like, how do you help somebody that's not where you're at right now and they're just having a pity party and nobody wants to be around them? And they're like, well, you don't know what I went through. I hate life right now. And I just want to like go drown in the ocean.
Manifestation. I'm going to say that so loud and clear. Manifestation has changed my life, and I was always a firm believer as it like, and it's not going to work. It's not for me, whatever. But I've been seeing a lot of TikToks where, you know, it's like called lucky girl syndrome. And I started doing it around Christmas time because December 16th was the 2-year anniversary of my mom's passing. So I take a day to myself. So I took a day off work and I just lived with myself because that was like me and her time. So I did some manifestation and I said all the things that I wanted, and I made like a vision board on my Pinterest account and everything, and all the things that I wanted for myself and like for my friends and for my family. And I mean, we're like not even into the second week of February. I landed an amazing job. I'm making great money. I have amazing friends, and I just don't have anything to complain about. Everything that I've ever wanted is being given to me. Like, and I just repeat over and over again. Like, I wake up in the morning when I'm getting ready, when I'm doing my hair, I say, good things happen to me because I deserve it. And that goes for everybody too. Like, good things happen to you because you deserve it. If you know that you're in a tough spot, manifest. Like, even if it sounds stupid, just sit before you go to bed. Just sit on your bed, look at your ceiling and just say, I deserve good things because good things happen to me, you know? And it's crazy how much words can change your life. But I recently had a friend tell me that your body doesn't know the difference between you speaking negatively about yourself or someone else. So it just hears negative words. So when you're constantly like, oh, I look so fat today, I look so ugly, I hate my hair, I hate my eyebrows, I hate my lashes, whatever it is, your body's hearing that and listening. And it's just not good. Like, you want to be nice to your body. Like, your body's the only body that you're ever going to have, you know? So you have to take care of it. You have to nurture it and you have to cherish it.
Man, a lot of gold right there. I'm like, oh, okay. Are you telling me? Are you preaching? All of the above there? But wow. Thank you for those nuggets, because being a spiritual individual, you know, I'm very intuitive, and being an empath, you just pick up on so much. And so the fact that you were just sharing, Jane, your body doesn't know if you're telling yourself or somebody did. right?
Yep.
Somebody else being like, oh, why are you wearing that? Or why do you look like that? I never took time to even consider that thought or theory. And I'm almost kind of a little ashamed because I will be I mean, you know me, I'm the first person to congratulate people, give words of affirmation, you know, encourage you, send you those voice notes, but
do it to yourself.
Yeah.
You have to.
I got to remind myself, Jane, be the good friend that you are to others, right? Like
and be it
the
to
light.
yourself.
Yeah. Cause I feel like I'm such a light to everybody.
Because also I want to ask you, like, you're such a person who reaches out to people and says those nice words. Do you hear those nice words on a whim from randomly other people?
You know, I do, but I think I need to do a better job at internalizing it. When we come from these moments of like temporary darkness, depression, funks, living in the past, it's like back to that neutral zone. Sometimes I catch myself in neutral because when I did launch my first episode recently, I got like all these messages and I'm thinking, I should be crying. Like I should be celebrating. I should be filled with joy. And don't get me wrong, I am thankful, but it's like, why am I not feeling it to the depth that people are feeling it, right? Like speaking of manifestation, I manifested that this podcast would change lives, will change lives. Not, oh, I hope it changes lives. Like, no, I know. And so with that same conviction, you got me. I think I need to work on being convicted, like myself.
Yeah, journal. I mean, write it down, like, especially like with a vision board. If you can't do it digitally, do it. Like go out and buy like a poster board from Michael's and like print out pictures of like, if you want a special handbag that you've been wanting, if you want some shoes, if you want like a trip to Hawaii, like put it on a vision board. You'll see it every single day and just manifest that you're about to be given a life that you deserve, you know?
God, I'm going to start that today. It's like, even though this is
write it all down.
Yeah, no, you are shaking me right now. I'm like, okay, I didn't think about this because especially being believers in faith, like I grew up very traditional Christian, Korean American. So a lot of my upbringing was, you know, I don't want to say neutral. I got to be careful, but it's just like, you have God, so nothing matters. You have God, so don't worry. Yeah. It's like I knew it, but I can't say I really felt it. But it was during the pandemic when my husband and I took a leap of faith. We moved here, said goodbye to all our friends and family, 0 friends, 0 connections. I was like, okay, God has a vision. God has a dream for us. So let's just pack up, take a U-Haul, move to Henderson, Nevada. And I'm thinking, okay, well, God, you've been there for me and I know you. So why the hell are we here? And then the pandemic happened, not knowingly. No one knew. No one was prepared for this. I'm thinking, okay, how am I going to deal with life? And I think that's where like my depression started coming is, I was such a happy person my whole life, but just something turned. And then even the people closest to me recognized like I just wasn't happy or I wasn't out as much. I wasn't communicating or just expressing anything. I was just kind of like, another day. I hope I get through it. And I don't know if I've fully come out of it yet. I know it's a new year, new me, and I'm manifesting. Like literally tonight, that's going to be my agenda and do a vision board. Seriously, like you really helped me. Is I need a dream again. And part of the podcast too, it's a self-soothing tool for me right now. Like selfishly and selflessly, even you being here right now, you're giving me therapy. Like you're helping me heal. Like little did you know, it's like, yes, I'm helping you, but you're helping me right now. Just like even being so real to check in, even on this podcast, like, Jane, how are you? Are you receiving words of affirmations? Like, oh, I was not ready for that. No, but really, thank you for even asking that, because I'm working on being more vulnerable. And I think people often see me such a go-getter that it's almost like I don't make room for people. I don't make room for friendship. And maybe you've been there where it's like people want to check in, but you're running around all the time trying to act like you're fine, but you're not fine. Like going to parties, hosting events, overworking to death. But low key, you're so lonely and you just needed a friend to be like, hey, you don't seem fine.
Yeah.
Like I love you to death, but I care about you. I want you to know I'm there for you.
You need the friends that realize and see when something's off. Because for a while, I didn't have those friends. I would load myself up on work and like bury myself in work to a point where I would run myself dry and I would make myself physically sick. Like I was always getting sick because I wasn't giving myself enough time to like rest my body and everything. So I never had that check-in from a friend saying, hey, I've noticed you've been off. Like, do you want to talk about it? And up until like moving here, I've met people, you included, and my roommate, who just, they know when something's wrong. They're like, listen, something's off. And
I was like, I haven't seen you in weeks, almost months. Are you alive?
Exactly. So you really need to find your people, like your tribe, the people who notice the small things, who check in on you when they don't need to. It's really, really important, I feel, because too often, like yourself, you're a giver and you spread yourself thin and you're always reaching out to people and you're always wondering how people are doing and like wanting to help people, but you're not ever receiving that back. And you need to learn how to receive it too. And I myself, I hate asking for help. I hate receiving help. If I'm stuck on the side of the road, I will literally find my way out. I will push my car if I need to, but I just don't like calling for help. So it's been a tough transition to start asking for help, which I have been doing recently, but it's so important. And I know that you might seem like you're a burden, but have that thought erased from your mind, because you have to remember, if you're ever a burden, you wouldn't have friends, you know, your friends wouldn't be there for you. I don't know if that made any sense, but it's true. Like, if people want to help you, they will. And if you ask for help, what's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to say, no, sorry, I can't. And you'll ask someone else, but you'll eventually find someone that wants to help you, you know?
No, and you're bringing up really good just theories, ideas, topics, because, you know, even just when you asked me, I'm like, wow, I think I was in this overdrive or people pleasing mode. Okay. So even as you're talking, you're like, well, Jane, if they're your friends, you shouldn't be a burden. I understand exactly what you're saying is if they care, you're not pulling their arm to care back. Right. And you kind of pointed like some trauma too, that I'm healing from as well, is when you are navigating from a place of people pleaser. I had a conversation with my husband recently, and out of love, he's like, hey, like, did you ever think you were insecure in some aspects? And I'm like, excuse me, I'm a boss lady. I'm crazy rich Asian. What do you mean, am I insecure? And that got me a little, you know, I was a little bit like, you're not talking to me that way. But what it was is shedding light on certain aspects of my life that maybe I was afraid to accept, or again, feeling my own shame. And I also grew up with brothers. And so for me, that also hit me when you're like, well, Jane, when you have like a brother, you're just used to like somebody there. I totally understand. And coming to Vegas, it's like I felt so exposed. Like I didn't have family or a sibling or like a go-to girlfriend yet to be like, Jane, I got you. Don't worry. Like, you don't need to sit at the table alone. You don't need to party alone. Like, I got you. I didn't have that yet. So I will confess that I was just in this like overdrive of, oh, people pleaser. I got to make all the friends and I got to be in the scene. I got to be seen. And I will admit, I think I prematurely gave myself so much to this city. And again, I do believe Vegas has so many doors, so many opportunities, so many great people. But I recently spent some time alone and I thought, you know, Jane, I think the reason why maybe you didn't have the closest friendships is maybe you didn't even know who you were. Maybe you didn't even know what you were bringing to the table. Yeah. So how dare you sit in a table with a bunch of people, girl, guys, everything in between, and wonder where the hell they are when like maybe you never opened up in the first place, right? That's some deep stuff right there. Yeah. But these days I'm realizing, okay, Jane, throw away your ego and pride. Simply recognize maybe who you were and how you navigated yourself in this city. And maybe when the time comes, the right people, if they were meant to be, they'll show up. Or like you mentioned, they will check in and say, hey, Jane, haven't seen you out in a minute. How have you been? Or I saw a podcast, or I saw your candle business recently. Like, good for you. You must have taken time finally for yourself. Because you know me, I was running dry, raggedy, like literally sick. And I mean, I think multiple times we try to catch up and I'm like, you got to come from this window and this window. You can meet me in my office. Like, Jane, you're being a rude friend. Like, how dare you set limitations or a time frame? Because I know if that happened to me, I'd be like, oh, are you that busy? I have to come from 1:30 to 1:35 p.m. Well, that's not going to work for me. So thank you for just showing up for me. And thank you for just being patient enough to also see me for me and not what I did at the time or what I could do for you. And that's why you're here right now. Like, that's why we're sitting in a room. It's been some time, but I love true sisterhood where you can literally pick up where you left off.
Yeah.
Like, we're in two better places in life, but we're still connecting. And I think that says a lot about where I'm coming from now, like where I am now. And same for you. I'm able to see and celebrate your growth and not have any jealousy or envy, right? So really quickly, without getting off on a tangent, how has it been navigating friendship in Vegas? And again, being where you are now, how has that shifted in like the type of people you attract and the type of people you want to be around?
So definitely I'd say since moving to Vegas, because, you know, living in LA, you don't have friends in LA. Like, you might have a couple here and there, but they're not like implants of LA, or they're not from LA, they're from someplace else. And the same kind of goes for Vegas. I've realized I attract a lot of East Coast people because I am from the East Coast, and you can just tell when people are East Coast. They're a little nicer when you first meet them and not so standoffish. So I would say, like, friendships, I've had a lot of friendships, but I try to remember, stop reaching out to people and see who reaches out to you.
Good.
Because it's very important, because I find myself all the time reaching out to people. Hey, you want to go here? You want to go there? You want to go do this with me? And there it's always, nope, sorry, I'm busy. Or just some excuse. And then you see them out with someone else and you're like, what the heck? So you kind of gotta, if you're iffy on the rocks about a friendship, just stop reaching out to them. And if weeks go by, if months go by, they were never your friend. It was just very beneficial. And not to like, I don't want to sit here and like toot my own horn in any way, but most of the time I have to find myself thinking, why do people really want to be friends with me? Is it because I was on TV? Do they think that I can get them on TV? Is it because of who I'm friends with and like, you know, the connections that I have? So I have to be very cautious when it comes to friendships. And I got a little scared. I was at the club the other night and this girl comes up to me and she's like, oh my God, I know you. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. And she's like, I've seen you all over Instagram and I've been wanting to meet you so bad. And
Not
I'm like,
awkward at all.
I'm like, oh, sick. Do you want to be my friend, or are you just trying to like take a pic with me or something? And not like, again, I'm not tooting my own horn and like speaking highly of myself, but I have to be cautious about that because, you know, I don't have a million followers or anything like that. But it's like, the second I hear that from someone and then you add me on Instagram and you're like, let's hang out soon. It's like, why do you really want to hang out with me though? Like, is it because I did a TV show? So it's definitely, I have to tiptoe around friendships, but thankfully I did find my people, you know, my roommate and you and everyone. So it's been good, but you definitely have to be cautious always, no matter where you live. But as soon as you find your friend group who notices when things are going wrong, who check in on you periodically, not just when it's convenient for either one of you, who are always inviting you to things and like including you, even if they know that you're busy, they'll still invite you.
I'm guilty of that. You're like, Jane, I work there. I'm at an event. I'm like, I don't care. I'm hosting a dinner. You're invited. You're like, I will see you there. I'm like, well, I wanted to invite you because you're my sister. So
I love it.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
But like, that is real right there, because again, I don't think you're acting any type of way. I think, again, we have to go back to self-worth, self-love, and know that, especially under God's eyes, like, we're a child of God, we're blessed with so many gifts and talents. I think in different levels, maybe we should remember who we are. We should remember, hey, real talk, like, I like you. Thank you for approaching me. What do you want?
Yeah.
Because I lived on the East Coast and the West Coast.
Yeah.
And I think I confused people. I'm like, no, I'm not fake. I'm just a chameleon. So I think when you mentioned you attract a lot of East Coasters, I'm like, maybe that's why you and I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whether it's been hours, months, even a year away, we just pick up where we left off. When you're blunt with me, I'm blunt with you. Like, we don't take offense to it. We don't think about anything else. There is kind of like the downfall of being passive aggressive, right? Some people think East Coasters were a pain in the ass. It's like, no, we're just very direct.
Yeah.
Like, you're chill, I'm chill. You're respectful, I'm respectful. You're acting crazy and disrespectful, I'm going to give you the crazy eye, pray for you, and please get out of my face respectfully, right? But I like what you said about, you know, being okay to question people's motives. Something that I'm learning with, you know, just taking time alone, and, you know, it's not easy for me, is thinking about intention and purpose, not just in our lives, but with the people we surround ourselves with. Because in the old job that I had, I was just so busy and around so many people. I was almost kind of delusionally numb, right? It's like you meet 1,000 people every week. It's like, okay, some people stick and they make a appearance in your life and they disappear. And some people like yourself, it's like they left some sort of spiritual sprinkle, right? Like we didn't even know each other that deep, but just you left this like, I don't know, spiritual sprinkle where it's like, well, I'll see you again. And I'm sure you recognized I kept pursuing you even though you were busy. Like, cool, that's fine. Like, I want to know you. I want to be your friend. Like, I don't care what you bring to the table or what you have. And even more, people used to tease me in high school and college. Like, no, Jane, you live under a rock, right? Like I was a nerdy golfer and I was a golfer before it was even cool. So imagine like my world moving to Vegas. And so when people are like, you don't know who I am? I'm like, oh, no. I'm so sorry. I just
people get so offended. Yeah, it's wild to me.
I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I just focus on like how you treat me, how you show up for me. And I don't think that's bad because I'm one of those people, you know, someone could say ill things about you, or God forbid, you could have an awful reputation, but God gave me a specific gift in like just seeing people for you. So I could care less if someone said something about you. I'm like, well, in my experience, she's incredible. You're smart. You're resilient. You've overcome so much and you treat people so incredible. And when I'm around your space, I feel nothing but hopeful. So I think, again, not knowing too much about people can also work to our advantage because you give somebody the opportunity to show up. Because I know a lot of times reputation can be tarnished by some people. Now, being the fabulous, humble person that you are, have you ever had a moment where there was gossip or there was a moment where people tried to tarnish your reputation?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
How was that like, and how did you deal with that?
Well, it was when I was fresh off of TV. I, befriended a former castmate from a different season, and the stories that got told about me and the lies that were just outrageous. Like I don't want to like say her name because I'm not giving her any clout because she's not a nice person. But I had lived with her for I think 2 weeks because so when I moved to LA, I got a roommate from a mutual friend who went crazy. Literally, I'm driving to LA and I get a call from my friend and she's like, oh, so-and-so, she's trying to kill herself. She locked herself in her apartment. I'm like, I'm literally about to go live with this girl and you're telling me this why? I'm like, I'm about to turn around and go home. She's like, no, she's a sweet girl, I promise. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll give it a shot. So I lived with this girl for not even a month. And she yelled at me for being in the kitchen. She yelled at me for having my friend over, not inviting her places. It was like very territorial stuff was happening. I didn't even know her at all. We met maybe once. So I moved in with my girlfriend and she spread lies and said that I trashed all of her clothing. I ruined her apartment. She left, I don't want to say where, but she had to go take care of a sick grandparent and she didn't pay her rent. And it was like the 6th of the month and they put an eviction notice on her door while I agreed to stay at her place and take care of it while she was gone. And there was an eviction notice and I said, why don't I cover your rent? Because obviously you don't have the money for it. So I'll go and I'll get a check and pay your rent, even the late fees, whatever. And she never paid me back. I didn't ask her to pay me back, but not even like half of it. And then spread all these lies about me. And it's like, I have a receipt of paying your rent that you couldn't pay for and you left to go on a vacation. So it was just, it was hard because I was in the public eye and I couldn't change people's mind about me. And that's, I think, what really got to me and what made me so depressed is because I know that it's not true, but no matter what I say, there's thousands of people talking about it and no one's going to believe me. They're going to be like, oh, you're a liar. We believe this other person because she has more followers than you. And it's just so toxic with that social media stuff. But all the time, like there's rumors about me like doing this or doing that. And it's gotten to a point now because it has been like 5-6 years. I do not care. I don't listen. If someone even comments something out of pocket on my Instagram post, I'll block you, delete you, and delete the comment.
Love it.
That's all I have. Like I don't have time. If people are in my inbox and say like one negative thing, like, oh, you're ugly, I will literally block you and never hear from you. I don't entertain it. I can't because it brings me back to a spot in a place in my life that was full of so much negativity that I know if I feed into it, I'll go back there, and I don't.
Yeah.
I can't go back there.
Man, you're just flowing with all this good stuff right
now. I told you can't shut me up.
Yeah, no, you're flowing. And you hit so many points right now. And, you know, people listening and watching, there's so much going on social media. And again, even my husband had to remind me, like, dude, you need to chill. I'm like, what do you mean chill? And I got to check social media, and I got to check what she's wearing, and I got to check what she's eating, and I got to see what vacation she's on. And he's like, Jane, no offense, but I've noticed you're an awful human when you're spending too much time on social media, including, why are you not out of bed? It's 10 a.m. and I'm scrolling.
Guilty.
He's like, are you on your phone? I'm like, I'm checking the weather and reading a Bible verse.
I'm planning my day.
Sure? Yeah.
I'm writing it down.
He's like, I cooked breakfast. Let's start the day with some holiness with God, okay? And I'm like, I hate my life. He's like, are you comparing yourself again? I was like, well, she's on vacation. And why are we not on vacation, right? Real stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So the reason why I asked about the whole reputation and then bringing it to even social media is living in the city of Vegas. Like, again, I applaud where you're at right now. Keep it going. And I'm here for you. Is I know I'm in this deep spiritual shift. And I also don't want to say like, oh, look at me now. But I'm proud to say I'm not who I used to be. I'm proud to say, as much as it was convenient, I had to cut off a lot of fake friends, and shame on me for not recognizing that they were fake friends. I think I just was so lonely at the time. And you understand this, being new to the city, you just want to be hip, even if it is fake friends. It's like, I want to sit there. I want to go to those dinners. I want to go to the club and wear a dress. Like, I want to look cute next to all these girls, but at what cost? Yeah. And, you know, I'm in my 30s. No one needs to know exactly how old I am, but I am in a place of self-development, growth, self-love, self-worth is necessary now. It's not like I'm 20 something where I have the rest of my life. It's like, Jane, you know better. Like, you've lived and learned. Let's move on. So I love that you mentioned, Jane, when I have moments that I could react to some troll online, you were like, Jane, I don't want to go back to that dark place, right? Where it was just toxic. I am learning to be that, because sometimes I catch myself, whether again, it's people pleasing or my own instant gratification. Like, oh, let me prove them wrong. Like, people always remind me, Jane, stop trying to seek revenge for what? Like, so you could even it out.
I'm a grudge holder.
Yeah.
So I believe in that, but I've been better.
Yes. No, I see that.
I've been
I feel
better.
it and I see that, right? And you know, not to say it's like, oh, it matters so much about what people say. I do sense, because I know people personally where they are, I don't want to say brainwashed, but they live in fear, or they live in this feeling of, well, everyone thinks I'm this, so I can't break out of that mold. Like, I know I was very shy in the sense of like shy to stand up for myself and shy to, you know, speak out loud. And now I'm more resilient. But how would you kind of encourage others right now that are listening and watching? Like, well, you don't know what I've been through, you know, whether it's an ex or a bad girlfriend, because stuff like that happens. How can you encourage people to move forward when they're still harping on the past of friendships, maybe the gossip or the BS that people are speaking about? Because I know I've had a hard time in my life where I cut off people and it's like, oh, Jane thinks she's all that. What are you talking about? Like, sit down. I'm like the goofiest weirdo ever. Like, oh, look at her. Like, who does she think she is? She's better than everyone. What? I'm just very confident and I work on myself, and you call me out, I'm completely okay. Like, Jane, you do need to humble yourself, or Jane, you need to calm down. Say it respectfully and I'll be open. Yeah. So yeah, again, for those that are maybe stuck in the past and maybe worry too much about what other people think, how do you help them get out of it?
Well, obviously everyone's story is different. You know, my story in no way compares to yours, but you just have to remember, like, there's no point in living in the past because you can't change it. You can change what you do for the future and your future self, but there's no changing the past. So the more you dwell on something that already happened, you're hurting yourself, and you're not allowing yourself to be your full potential for your future self because you're just stuck in the past. Like, you know how they say the present is a present, which is why you need to cherish it. And I don't know exactly the rest of the quote, but that's all I remember. And it's true. Like, live in the present, live in the now, be thankful for where you are. And whether you're going through a breakup or like a broken friendship or a broken family or anything, you just have to remember you have a roof over your head, you have clothes on your back, you have food in your mouth and in your stomach, and you have money, whether you're working or whatever it is, and you just have to remember that, again, your story doesn't compare to someone else's, but you don't know what other people are going through. You don't know, someone could have just lost their mom or dad like yesterday and they're pushing through, and you'll never notice that because that's something that they don't want to show. So definitely don't live in the past.
Yeah.
Like it's easier said than done, but the second that you step away from dwelling on negative things or even positive things that you want to let go of, you'll reach your higher self in a way that you'll never be able to understand or explain to people.
Yeah, that's super good right there. Is I've noticed when I have moments where I'm intentional with like my thoughts and the way I live, especially this podcast, active listening, for example, I've been working on that. And what it's teaching me is to fully be present.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, who cares what was or who cares what will be? Like to even just be present with you. I'm like, wow, I forgot what peace feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I are both guilty of this, is when we're on the grind or we're working on the strip or doing things, like obviously we have to make money, work, serve people. That's a different environment. But I'm learning, Jane, it's okay to just not do and be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's new to me.
Yeah.
Like even right now, I'm not showing off for you. I'm not entertaining you. I'm just showing up.
Yeah.
I'm just here.
Being here.
I'm just being.
Be here
and
now.
I'm sure it's refreshing for you to see this because since I've known you, I'm always running around. But I know God needed me to be here right now, is when being and learning how to be more present, I'm able to observe more of what God has done for me. Because when you're in that rat race and working yourself to sickness, you're just kind of running through life without even processing life, right? Or even seeing the good. And it's so easy to take moments of our life to be like, well, this happened to me and this isn't happening to me, versus, hey, what if we just slow down for a second and literally smell the roses, or in this case, the desert sand. But I think a great example of the power of being present as well, and I'm sure you've experienced this, is God will show you things and it becomes more clear. And sometimes I have to remind myself, like, Jane, even overnight success, it took 10 years, right? Like, you never know. And so in the same respect, I've noticed certain things are slowly falling into my lap, and maybe somebody might say like, oh, look at her. How did it just like fall into your lap? How are you on a podcast? Now you think you're some famous TV host. Actually, guys, I've been manifesting this since I was a kid. Like, I was a middle child, the awkward black sheep. And I would literally fight with my family and friends because I'm like, no, you guys don't understand. Like, I was supposed to be a star, but not in the way that we assume.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't have to be a celebrity. I just meant like, no, I think there is a voice in me. There's like a intuitive spiritual side in me that
the
just
voice
like
thing. Yeah.
Right. Like, and one day someone was like, yo, you do have a really nice voice. I'm like, well, I guess I was scared to shine my light again. But yeah, but like going back to just being present and being grateful, I literally manifested. I was like, okay, what brings you peace? And I'm thinking, okay, and we'll talk about self-care and self-love in a moment. But I was thinking, okay, Jane, in your quiet, private time when no one's looking, what brings you back to like planet Earth? What brings you calmness? And I'm like, okay, I always take an Epsom salt bath. Call me a grandma, but it's good for your joints. I love candles. I love aromatherapy. And that's a very traditional, like holistic way of healing, even way back in the day. And I'm thinking, okay, Jane, people might judge you, but maybe you should start your own candle business. Right. So just giving you an example of one moment. And I'm like, okay, really, is this what you're going to do with your life? And I said, no, it's a connection and it's a bridge to something greater. So in my personal moments of self-love and self-care, a candle to me is very symbolic. It's bringing warmth. It's bringing light. And call me weird, but like, I don't feel alone. Like a light, if you look at a candle, it's like active, it's
flickering.
Living. And so it's like, I don't feel alone when I'm like sitting next to a
there's
candle.
Movement.
Yeah, it sounds weird, but I'm glad
I
get
get
me.
I get it.
So long story short, I just launched not too long ago. I do all the social media, all the creation, all the things because I know how it's supposed to be. And then one day God just dropped a thought in my soul, like, Jane, maybe when it does grow, you should start partnering up with suicide prevention organizations. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's very ballsy. Are you really going to go there? And I'm thinking, no, the more I'm present, the more I lean into that like little whisper, but like that positive whisper. I'm not talking about negative talk. I'm talking about that little angel cheerleader that's always been there for you, but you were just so busy and so egotistical and prideful that you forgot that thing was there, right? Kind of like nudging you into the right direction. So bringing it back, I would say that's like my own personal testimony is I need to do it more often than not, but like be present, manifest, be grateful for what you do have. Because I could sit here and say, well, you don't understand. I lost all these friends, I've lost jobs, and I've lost opportunities. But Jane, you're creating your own. So I think in that power of manifestation and visualizing, right, exactly what you want to do, when I remember that power, I can see it for my life, right? So thank you for sharing just the power of that. Now, you seem very grounded right now, like in terms of, you know, since I've seen you last. What is your favorite ways of practicing self-love and self-care?
Well, definitely the manifestation. I will say it over and over again. It's very healthy to talk healthy to yourself. I've definitely switched up my diet too. I used to eat a lot of junk food. I take care of myself a lot more. And obviously, like you said, everyone's self-care looks a little different, whether it's getting massages, getting your hair done. But I personally like to stay busy while I'm not busy, if that makes any sense. So I love to crochet. I make random things.
Why are you so cute? See, you guys would have never known this babe crochets.
I love crocheting. I make clothing. I can make blankets. I just made my friend a little potted plant so it'll never die because she's huge into plants. So I can basically make anything as long as I have like a pattern. So like I said, when I'm at home watching a movie, I'll literally take some yarn and start working. But it's me keeping busy. And at the same time, I can sell these things. But it's a comforting thing because also, you know, my mom taught me how to do that when I was in 3rd grade. And it was just a basic like double crochet. But from that, I went on YouTube and taught myself every single stitch, every single type of pattern there is to do. So to go into that, like definitely eating right. I try to go to bed on time, but I have the worst insomnia and I can't fix it. But just realizing like when my body is telling me to slow down, like up into like recently, I was for like 2 weeks, I was, you know, when you feel like you're about to get sick, but it doesn't hit you. So you're not getting the chills, you're not getting the fever, but you have a headache, your nose gets kind of stuffy, you feel congested. That was me. And I'm sitting here thinking, oh my God, if I'm going to get sick, let me just get sick and get it over with. But my roommate was like, I think you need to like take a break and like slow down, stop moving, just sleep, catch up on sleep. And I'm like, but I sleep so much. And she's like, it's your brain. Like you need to shut your brain off for a little bit. So like log out of work. When you're sitting on the couch, just sit on the couch, put on a show that you're actually going to be interested in and just focus on that. Put your phone down, whatever it is. So I've been trying to do that. I have felt a little bit better. But yeah, it's just super important to take care of your body. Detox teas, all that stuff.
No, it's trippy you said that because I thought I was literally dying. Like when I took some time off to just heal and let go and shift into my next chapter of life. Same thing. Like I'm like, I think I could be dying.
Yeah. And it's like an in-between feeling where you're healthy enough to still go in public because you don't have a fever, so you're not contagious, but you're sick enough to just not want to do anything. I didn't leave the house for like 3-4 days. And I'm like, I'm still working because I work remote, but I was just like, I don't even want to work on my computer right now. And I'm just sitting on the couch, you know?
Yeah.
So you definitely have you have to listen to your body. And it's hard at first, but once you get used to it, your body will tell you like, sit down, shut up, and let me take over for a little bit. You know?
And it's amazing too how just like our body, our spirit is so intuitive. And I know we started off in the beginning of the conversation about even the voices, right? Whether you are telling yourself this internally or somebody comments outwardly like, hey, I don't like the way you look or whatever it might be. Is even when you were mentioning you could physically slow down, but if your mind is not slowing down, then you will actually get sick.
Yeah.
Or this fatigue where you're like, what is going on? Something's off. It's like the mind, body, and spirit are not in alignment. right? So I love, you know, even just your aspect of crocheting is I can relate in that sense of like you're chilling, but you want to be, you know, a little productive still. So I get what you mean. It's not like you're working to like go work for somebody, but just something that is productive. It's definitely the Asian in us too, though. It's like, okay, we gotta make each day
buckle
count,
down.
you know? Yeah. And that was kind of actually how I even started the candle business. I only make about like 5 to 10 per batch, and it takes like a long curing process, several weeks. So people don't know, like, it takes time.
There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah. And so especially like a healthy natural soy candle. I didn't know this, but now looking back, I'm like, why did I have to pick soy? It takes the longest. Right. But I think God was trying to tell me something. And again, I don't consider myself religious, but I do tell myself and others I have a cool relationship with God, meaning I feel almost just, I don't know, superpowers from him, whether I'm sad, whether I'm happy, just I get deeper visions, and I just feel so uplifted knowing that there is a higher power such as God just watching over me, especially people who don't have mothers, fathers, or blood family around. It's just very comforting to know that we have a God or a father in heaven that does kind of look out for us, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So in the candle making, you know, I have this habit of like instant gratification. I was a professional makeup artist for like 15 years. So when I did the candle business, I'm like, okay, so if I mix the thing and do the thing, I want it now. I want to sell it tomorrow, be a millionaire tomorrow. And then quickly, same but different, I would watch YouTube videos like how to make the fastest candles. And they would all say, take your time. Don't rush it. Don't over stir it. Don't add extra stuff. Like just, this is the key ingredients, and literally take your time. The longer you let it sit, the stronger the aroma is. And I'm thinking, oh man, God, are you really trying to tell me something? That's like the same with
life, though, you know?
Right? Yeah. Like just trying to get to the finish line. It's like, is that
slow and steady wins the race?
Yeah.
That's what they say.
So it's amazing how back to just even manifestation and just being present, and how, you know, you talked about the lucky girl syndrome, just like all these things. If we pay attention, there are constant signs, directions, lessons. If we pay attention to people we love and trust, is they're literally telling you what you need to hear. They're literally directing you when you're feeling lost or stuck. So I didn't realize that I needed you to say what you shared, even though they were so unexpected. Like I needed you to be like, how are you? I'm like, oh, I just want to cry and melt off this chair, because I'm like, oh, I forgot how good it feels to be asked that.
Yeah.
And part of it could be my fault or just my past, again, being Korean, very militant. I don't think I like come off or show off this zest of like, you can check on me too. And even my husband, he's just like, no, Jane, like you're good, but just I think you need to slow down and like calm down a little bit and let people be in the space with you, right?
Because the slowing down thing, let me tell you this
like, is this seat open, right? It's almost like,
okay. So the other day, it was yesterday, I have the worst road rage ever. I'm always like pedal to the metal. I got someplace to be. I don't want to be late. I'm speeding. And I was grabbing groceries because I do my Target drive up because I'm bougie. So I'm driving home from picking up my groceries, and I'm thinking to myself, like, why am I always in a rush? You know, like I'm speeding fast to get someplace, but you know what? What's the point? And like, this doesn't correlate, but it just so happened that right after I said that, I was turning at a green light and this car almost hits me, and I'm like, and this is why I have road rage.
Oh my God.
But no, going back to the driving thing, it is so important because you're doing 80 in a car, and if you crash, you could die, you know? So it's kind of scary, but you really gotta slow down with life, and like you're not rushing. And if you feel like you're gonna be late, leave a little early, you know?
No, and that's very relevant though, because slowing down can show up, or the lack of slowing down can manifest or show up in so many aspects, whether it's getting groceries, driving. I know for me, this sounds so weird. I love fitness and health, but these days I'm like rushing. Why am I rushing?
Take your
Like,
time.
I'll work out and then I'll come home, no sweat. And my husband's like, did you actually work out or be on your phone? I was like,
A little bit
a
of
little
both.
bit of both. But you know when you get that quick workout in where it literally did nothing?
Yeah,
You're like, let me just
But at least you
half-ass
worked
it and-
out.
Yeah. My new joke is every other day, because every other day my body needs to rest and recover for the muscles
But
to
that's
expand.
self-care.
Yeah. He's like, muscles? Where? I'm like, I'm getting my protein in, I promise you. But you know, again, I've noticed personally too, just like even in your physical health, back to the whole mind, body, and spirit, back to the inner and outer beauty. Just, I want to continue to celebrate the transformation you will continue to pursue, as I do as well. And I'm excited to see where we're going to be in the next episode, because one of my goals is the first episode, it's kind of more like an intro, get to know my girl. And I always like to be respectful to every guest that comes in. But I would encourage you, you know, next episode, whatever you want to talk about, whatever topics you want to focus on, definitely bring that back. But I'm just excited to see that you're in a better place.
Oh, yeah.
And same for me. Like, I'm just 1% of where I know God wants to take me. But it's always really humbling and refreshing when you can relate to a friend that you haven't seen in a while. And it's like, there's just like comfort. Like, I feel that with you. Some friends you meet and maybe they weren't really good friends in the first place, but we're all living and learning, where you do reunite with them and it's like you just feel nothing but this like judgment or this like harsh darkness. And it's like, whoa, I'm not going to project on you, so you don't project on me. Like, even if we're not in better places, or maybe you are and I'm not, let's not project, because we're all on our own journey. And like you said, you never know what other people are going through. So whether it's them talking crap about you or tarnishing your reputation. I saw a video on TikTok recently. It's like other people's judgment or opinions about you is none of your business. And it's like the way they said it, I'm like, that's so simple. Like, love your neighbors. Well, no, duh. But really think about that.
Yeah.
Like, other people's opinions and thoughts towards you is none of your business. And it's like, why can't we all comprehend and digest that? Like, why don't we actually take a moment to live in that? Because if we did, I know for a fact we would all have more peace. Because I know right now, even anxiety, depression is something that's taking over. And that's why I try to be very careful about like suicide or like self-harm is, unfortunately, I've seen it's more common than we realize. So to have positive, radiant light like you're so divine and disruptive at the same time. And that's why the podcast is Divinely Disruptive. Is, you know, it's not just catchy, but it's such a unique concept as women. How can we protect our femininity and be divine and be sensual and be beautiful, but at the same time, be firm enough to be like, nope, I know my worth. I know what I'm not going to take. And it might disrupt or interrupt what you expected out of me. So that's kind of something that I am looking forward to in this new year, is without stepping on people's toes, just being more defiant in who I've become and not sitting in my past and letting people step all over me. Because sometimes people pleasers and kind-hearted spiritual individuals, it's like, oh, well, they didn't mean that. And you defend them versus, you know, whether they meant it or not, I wish you well. I pray for you truly, like truly. And if we don't cross paths and we don't end up, you know, as friends now, I'm really okay with it. But I don't wish anyone harm. So that's something that I'm looking forward to, is just being more resilient, being more defiant, setting healthier boundaries, knowing who my real friends are, like yourself, that we can just pick up whenever and talk real. And not just do things for the fame or the followers or the fake tagging. Oh, let's be friends. Like, I'm okay not doing that. And lately, God's been guiding me like into alignment. Like, if people are not in alignment with who you are and where you're going, you don't have to force that upon you. Like, as much as we want to save the world and be Mother Teresa, I've learned preserving our peace is also important.
Oh, absolutely.
And God would want that for us.
I definitely agree. My whole mantra is, you know, you might not like me, but the thing is that I'm not for everybody.
Oh, I love it.
So if you're one person who doesn't like my outfit, my style, my hair, my eye color, well, I don't want to be for you. I don't want to be for everybody. I want to be for, whether it's my partner specifically for him or whether it's my friends specifically for them. So that's something that I feel like everybody should remember, because so much I find myself doing it too. I care about what other people think. And I've recently stopped. Like, I'll do it so I know, I look good, whatever. Like, I like to look good. I like to have makeup on. I like to sometimes wear cute outfits, but I go out and I hold my head high. And if someone doesn't like me, I'm just like, I don't even know who you are. Why are you impacting my life like that? So just
That's
something
good
to remember.
Yeah, no, that's good. So the thing that I like to ask everybody at the end of every episode is, what are 3 life lessons you would have told your younger self?
Oh, so many. But if I had to pick 3, it would definitely be to slow down. I rushed very much trying to grow up, to a point where, when I was like 18, everyone's like, oh, I thought you were older. And now that I'm older, everyone's like, oh, wow, I thought you were 22. And I'm like, yeah, let's keep it up.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely say slowing down, cherishing life. You only have one life. And I've wasted so many years being negative, resentful, holding grudges, just being not a good person. I wouldn't say not a good person, but just not living up to my own standards. That and not caring what other people think about me, and the whole, if I'm not for you, well, I don't want to be for everyone. And also just really taking the time to get people before I allow them in my life, is, a partner or a special someone, or, a friendship, because life is precious. And, when you have a lot of things that go on in your life and you confine in someone and they use those things against you, it's a eye-opening to how evil and nasty people can be. So,
man, no, I feel like you kind of took us to church and then some. Like, when you talked, I'm like, great nuggets. And I know, again, people listening and watching, they had some great takeaways, and just your East Coast swagger. Just, I love your kindness, your purity, your integrity behind everything you share. And
thank you.
I can vouch for you, is everything you shared today, you do live that. And I've seen from personal experience in your life as well, like, you've overcome so much. And I'm so excited what the new year brings for both of us. And like I mentioned, when we have you back on the podcast, excited to share more stories of, challenges, life lessons, wisdom we learned, and just wanted you to know that I love you.
Love you.
And I'm grateful for every moment that we do have. And again, I already know we could talk forever. That's why my alarm went off. Sorry. But just, this was a very in-depth episode. Like, I can tell you right now, this was very impactful, and you really hit some chords with a lot of people right now, because I know you hit a few in mine that was very unexpected. But I do believe, back to God, universe, and the divine, is if we pay attention, if we are open, if we choose to lean in, that the signs, the cues, the directions are already showing up for us. So thank you for showing up for me.
Yeah.
And I hope I showed up for you as well.
Always.
Just not today, but life and beyond. And you guys, I hope you enjoyed getting to know my girl, Keyana. She's incredible. And again, I just want to continue to share with you guys, we all matter, no matter what we've gone through, whatever journeys we've overcome. Like, it's not too late. And as we talked about, stop living in the past. I know I'm really guilty of this, and sometimes it sucks the living joy out of my present day. And that's why we call it the present. Okay. That's why I'm always complaining about, where's my gifts, God? It's like, well, right now, this is your present. So until next time, protect your peace, keep shining your light. I'll make sure to link all her information down below. So please, continue to support her in her journeys as well. And we'll catch you in the next episode.
Bye.